We're going to look at song structure in this lesson. And the reason why we're looking at this together is just to get everybody on the same page on how we write our charts and how to really approach preparing to play or sing so that we can be as most effective and most efficient as possible with our rehearsals and allow our teams to play with the most amount of confidence and the least amount of mistakes. So here we go. I'm going to put up a song here. So here is a song that looks very similar to the type of song that we would see on a chord chart. Now, this is not a real song. The chords are, but I rewrote the words. They absolutely are ridiculous and don't make sense at all, but I didn't want to break any copyright laws, so, don't even pay attention to them. But let me show you. Just visually, if you look at this chord chart, it's broken down into sections. Like there's this section there. It's kind of a break into this section, and then a break into this section, and then another section. So visually, you can see that there's structure, and they're all broken into sections. Now let me decode this for you. So the key is the letters in parentheses. Those are the names of what the sections are. So for example, here the V is verse. C is chorus. Now it's kind of confusing because there's a C chord as the first chord of the chorus, but we're looking at what's in the parentheses. Choruses are usually the most memorable part of the song, or at least it should be. But typically it's the most important part of the song as well. All right, so here you see V2. That just means verse number 2. Some songs have, 2 verses, 3, 4 verses, but basically it's the same section as a verse. And that is why for almost every verse we don't have chords over them, because musically wise and structure and chord wise, they're the exact same as the verse. The only thing that's different are the lyrics. And then down here, you see the little B stands for bridge. Bridge. So if you look at it, this song consists of 3 main sections: verse, chorus, and bridge. Now, what makes this song last 3 to 4 minutes, because each of these sections are only probably like 30 seconds or 45 seconds, is how these sections are arranged. And so when you arrange this, let's say verse to chorus, back to verse, chorus, chorus, maybe you go to a bridge, repeat the bridge, go to the chorus, however they arrange it is what makes the song longer. But as you can see, if you break down songs this way, immediately it's much more manageable. You're looking at 3 sections of little, snippets of chord progressions rather than a 4-minute long continuous chord changing thing you have to think about. So for me, it really helps break down the songs into little parts where it's much more manageable that way. All right, let's go through another song. Okay, so put up another song. We'll get rid of that one. Here we go. So, once again, you see there's a verse. Here, okay, so there is what's called a PC. That stands for pre-chorus. That just means that's a section that comes right before the chorus. Some of the modern songs have a pre-chorus, and by the way, as you can see, this song doesn't have a bridge, but it has a pre-chorus, which is different from the last song. There are no rules on what a song has to have. Some songs have a bridge, some songs have a pre-chorus, some songs have a tag, some songs don't even have a verse. Some songs only have a chorus. So there are no rules. It's just whoever writes the song decide what parts they want in there, and that's fine. So that's kind of, when you look at a song, a visual way, and kind of the breakdown of what makes a song happen. Now, here is something that I really wanted to go and I want to point out to you, and this is one of the main reasons why I want to break down how song sections and song structure goes. Because when you're playing this in a team setting, where the most amount of mistakes, where the most amount of brain farts, we call them, or those are like kind of little things where you know the song, but you just forget. Or what we call major mistakes. They're called train wrecks. Where most of that happen is when you're going from one section to another section. So when you change sections, that is where the most amount of mistakes occur. Because once you are within a section, it will never really be any different. It's here's the beginning, here's the end of that section. But what happens is when you go from section to section, things change. Let me show you what I mean. As you can see here, the first chord of the verse is an F sharp minor. But the first chord of the pre-chorus is an E. And the first chord of the chorus is an A. So when you're going from section to section, let's say from the verse to the pre-chorus, if you're not sure you're going to the pre-chorus, you don't know if you're going back to the verse, which is an F sharp minor, or you don't know if you're going to the pre-chorus, which is an E, or you're going to the chorus, which is an A. So that's where you're unsure and things can get really tricky. See how once you start in the pre-chorus section and you hit the A, well, you know F sharp minor is going to be the next chord. Just like here in the chorus. Once you are playing the A, you know you're going to hit an E. It's written down here on the chart. But what's tricky is when you're going from section to section. And that is why, as an instrumentalist, the most important chords to know is the first chord of each section. That is the most important part. So what I sometimes do is write next to the actual sections, I write out the first chord so that I can know, confidently when we go to that section, what chord to hit. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, how do I know which section we're going to? Because that's really the key is, how do I know where we're going? Sometimes we want to know, are we going to go, I want to know the roadmap. Are we going to go verse, pre-chorus, to verse, pre-chorus, to the chorus, to the pre-chorus, to the verse, and have something written down like that? Well, what I found out is writing things out like that and is sometimes even more confusing. But the method that we use is to use verbal cues. Verbal cues. Now, the worship leaders are trained to be able to give verbal cues as kind of a guide to let you know where we're going next. And this will allow you to run rehearsals and actual worship sets in the most efficient way, so that there's always a verbal reminder on where we're going. What I've noticed about this is I can have this written down, but still I'll forget, just because there's so many things going on when you're playing the song, right? There's these chords you're changing, you're thinking about what you're going to play, maybe little runs, and then you lose focus, and then when it changes, you hit the wrong note and you feel like all your confidence is gone. And so what we want to do is to use verbal cues to lead the team as leaders, so that we are always knowing and being reminded where we're going next. The way we use verbal cues is, instead of calling out like verse, pre-chorus, chorus, because those are like musical terms, and the congregation will not have any idea what the leader is talking about. But what tends to happen is the leaders will call out the first word or first few words of that section, so that they will give you an idea where they're going. So they might go from saying, let's say they're at the end of this verse, they might call out, "Can it be?" Can it be is right here. That's a verbal cue that we're going to the chorus. So you need to be ready to play this A when the downbeat happens. Or they might call out the toner. And then the toner is a verbal cue that we're going to the pre-chorus, and you're going to hit an E. Now, they don't call it out every single time, because obviously, after pre-chorus, well, logically, it's going to go to the chorus. So you don't have to be afraid, it's going to go from this to the verse, because logically it will just go there. But if anything unusual is coming up, or they're changing something up at the last second, each leader will give you a verbal cue of where they're going. And as long as we're all paying attention to these first chords of each section, we should be able to get through with the least amount of mistakes. So there you go. Song structure and sections and all that you need to know.